Hi, everybody. So I know this is a random live stream that obviously I did not plan for. Let me fix the lighting. The way the lighting is right now, I know it's not great, but bear with me. So the thing is, like, I literally all last night wanted to go live so bad. Like, there were so many things I kept thinking about and thinking about. And I want to go live and talk basketball with you guys. And I obviously didn't go live because it was like 3 in the morning. And then I just couldn't sleep, and I was like, "Okay, I gotta go live tomorrow." So, I'm here to just talk about the random things that I really just wanna talk about, because it was just bothering me. Okay. So there are more things I want to say about the Chris Paul trade, with Golden State. So here's what I was thinking and what I kept running through my mind is that, like, for Chris Paul going to Golden State, obviously when it happened, everybody was shocked. Everyone was like, "What is going on? Where did this train come from?" Right? So my initial reaction was the same as everybody else's, where I was like, "Wait, what? They traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul? Like, where did that come from?" And when the rumors came out that the Warriors were trying to trade for Chris Paul to begin with when he was still on the Suns, I didn't really believe it, to be honest. I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like their name is being thrown in there." But I didn't think it made much sense to trade for Chris Paul. And I didn't know what they would be trading for Chris Paul, right? So anyway, the point is they make the trade. So now everyone's all like, what is going on? So here's what I have been thinking about lately. If you saw the video I made about Chris Paul being traded to the Warriors, the last clip in the video I said, I'm not 100% sold that Chris Paul is going to be there for the full year, maybe even to start the year, but I'm not sold that he is their future piece, I guess, if you want to say it like that. Even though obviously he's 38, he's not going to be there for a long time. But the point is, like, I wasn't sold that he is even there for the immediate future. Now, this has nothing to do with Chris Paul's ability or fit. Like I said in that video, like, I think he would be able to help them not turn the ball over, obviously, because he's one of the best in the league at not turning the ball over, taking care of the ball. He's one of the best at passing, pass first point guard. He gets everybody involved. He doesn't need to take shots. So he's not going to take shots away from anybody. And obviously, when the bench would come in, when Steph would come off the floor, the Warriors had a hard time like keeping their leads. So I get all that. Like, I understand that, and that makes sense why they traded for Chris Paul, right? But I was thinking about it, I was like, hmm, it really reminds me of the D'Angelo Russell trade. And I couldn't get that out of my head. Now, if you remember, they traded Kevin Durant to Brooklyn for D'Angelo Russell in a sign and trade. And everybody I remember was saying, like, that makes no sense. Like, D'Lo doesn't fit with the Warriors. And I'll be the first one to say that I didn't think it was a perfect fit, but I did also think it was a better fit than people were giving them credit for. Because I feel like when you play with Steph, and obviously Clay wasn't there at that point because of his ACL tear, but when you play with Steph and just so many great players like that, I felt like they could have made it work. Now, it obviously ended up not being as good of a fit as, like I said, I didn't think it was a great fit, but I thought it would be a better fit than other people thought. Regardless, the point is it wasn't like the best fit. Fine. Everyone thought that. Now, the same thing is what everyone is kind of saying about Chris Paul. Like, people are saying it's a better fit, obviously, because Chris Paul is not D'Angelo Russell and they're different. But at the same time, because Chris Paul likes to play slow, the Warriors like to play fast. Chris Paul likes to play a lot of pick and roll. The Warriors are like last in the league with pick and roll and stuff like that, right? So their like style of play doesn't really fit his style of play. Now he can adjust and they can adjust, like they're smart, whatever. They'll make it work, right? But I say that to say it reminds me of the D'Angelo Russell trade that like either before the season, but I guess more so I'm thinking towards trade deadline. Basically, like Chris Paul will make them better in the immediate future for the first half of the season, right? And again, I don't have any information. I don't know any of this for sure. Like I'm just going based off what I feel. Again, so I don't know. But I just feel like it's going to be one of those situations where potentially where Chris Paul is there until the trade deadline. And obviously they are good with him there. Like, he keeps the leads afloat when Steph is on the bench. He does his job. He does a good thing. He plays 20 minutes a game, stays healthy, because they're resting him. He's not doing too much, whatever, right? So I could see it where they they're doing like chess here. They traded for him to trade for another piece after. Like the D'Angelo Russell thing, if you remember, after they traded for D'Lo, they traded for Andrew Wiggins. And it just happened to be that, Cat and D'Lo are very good friends. Now, obviously, that's not the only reason Minnesota traded for him, but I do remember at that time the rumors were that they wanted to keep Cat happy and stuff like that. So, what better than trade for one of his best friends? It just happened to work out that way that the Warriors had, D'Angelo Russell. Did they make that trade because they kind of saw that coming in Minnesota? I don't know 100%. They are smart. They do think ahead, 2 steps ahead. So that could have been their, thought process when trading for D'Lo to begin with. I don't know if it was specifically to get Andrew Wiggins, but to get somebody else. So keep that in mind. So the point is, like, they traded D'Lo for Andrew Wiggins, who was one of their most important players in the playoffs when they won the championship in 2022. So now we come back to Chris Paul, right? It's giving me that D'Angelo Russell vibes. Like, although D'Angelo Russell obviously was there a little bit longer and it was a different timeline because Clay wasn't there and whatever. They weren't contending for a championship that year. But the point is, like, it gives me the vibes where I feel like Chris Paul could be there till the trade deadline and the Warriors are in the playoff picture, stuff like that. Because Chris Paul will obviously make sure that they stay afloat, like I said, when Steph is on the bench, whatever. But that at the trade deadline, there are going to be a lot of teams who want Chris Paul. One, because he's a pure pass first point guard. Two, and one of the most important things, he's on next year, his contract is not guaranteed. So, like, he's technically on the last year of his deal, and teams are looking to get money off the books any way they can. Let me say that again. Teams are looking to get money off their books any way they can because of the new CBA, which I gotta be honest, like, we haven't seen all the rules to the new CBA, so there's still, details being worked out. The things that we do know, I gotta be honest, like, some of these rules are kind of, what's a nice way of saying it? Ridiculous. Like, they're ridiculous to me. Like, I felt like knowing what rules we do know, a lot of the rules that are put into place with this new CBA were so targeted and focused on one little area that people didn't like, owners, players, teams, whatever, the whole league, whatever, one little area that they didn't like, that they forgot the whole picture, the big picture. And there are so many rules to try to combat a small little thing that I feel like it ends up hurting the product in the end. That's my opinion. I'm being honest here. Like, at the end of the day, I'm a fan of the game as well. I need to be objective. I feel like a lot of these rules are just going to hinder most of the teams in the end. Like, the rules that they put into place to stop certain things are going to end up hurting themselves when they get to a certain point, when they're trying to be a championship contender, a certain team, or whatever. Like, some of these rules are going to come back to bite the people who put the rules into place, is my point. I feel like some of these rules really don't benefit anybody. So some of the rules I don't get. I don't get some of these new rules. But that's besides the point. I just had to say that about the new CBA because the more rules that keep coming out, I'm listening to them and I'm like, who voted on this? Who said I want this rule? Like, I don't know. But back to Chris Paul. At the trade deadline, I could see a lot of teams. Again, this is what I was saying about Chris Paul. Because his contract is coming off the books. And with the new CBA, there are so many penalties and just consequences for having money, like spending a lot of money on their books. So Chris Paul is one of the perfect players to add if you want to potentially get a little better, because obviously Chris Paul can add some value. Even though he's 30, 38, going to be 39, he still adds some value. One. Two, most importantly, his money is coming off the books. And three, maybe you're a team that's trying to contend for a championship next year, and you're just missing a point guard, just someone who could add a little bit of value, whether it be starting or off the bench. And Chris Paul, maybe your missing piece. So again, I don't know this for sure, and I do think that Chris Paul would add value to the Warriors. I think they would be able to fit him in, right? So I'm not saying they 100% should or will trade him. However, I think they might have partially, besides like the whole Jordan Poole, situation and the contract and whatever, like putting that aside, partially why they might have traded for him. I'm trying to think like a GM here is because they know that a lot of other teams, especially come trade deadline, are going to want him. And so they will be able to flip him for even more value, which sounds crazy because you're probably like, how is Chris Paul going to get more valuable as he gets older? And like I said, contract, trying to win a championship this year. So think about the teams that need a point guard. Now, I don't think they would do a deal with the Lakers. I don't. I don't think it would even matter what the Lakers gave them. I don't think they'd do a deal with the Lakers unless they're giving them like LeBron, but obviously that's not realistic. So the Lakers need a point guard. They're not going to do a deal with the Lakers, so take them out. The Clippers have wanted Chris Paul. They were trying to trade for Chris Paul. What if the Clippers offer the Warriors something really good? Now, again, that's kind of hard to trade within a division rival, especially someone who is also trying to compete for a championship next year. And if Kawhi and Paul George are healthy and give them Chris Paul, that's tough. But that's something to consider. Like maybe the Clippers, maybe you trade with them. Because what if they give you Terrence Mann, who's a very good player, and he can run point guard. He runs point guard. He's like a point forward, and he did that for the Clippers very well. So what if they give you Terrence Mann and it depends, like, I have to make the money match. So let's say Terrence Mann and I don't know. I don't have to look at the salaries, but Terrence Mann and someone else, right? Okay. So you do something with the Clippers. That's one team. How about the Chicago Bulls, who are trying desperately to make this work with DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Vucevic is a free agent, but they're talking about they're going to re-sign him. And they need a point guard so badly because Lonzo, unfortunately, the report came out like yesterday that he's probably not going to be healthy. He's probably not going to be able to play, right? And that's so sad. I feel so bad for Lonzo. And they were really good when Lonzo was there. Like, you have to remember when Lonzo was there, they were a top team. Lonzo made them so good. And it's just unfortunate because he hasn't been healthy. They're in the need for a point guard, in the market for a point guard, rather. What if you do a deal with the Chicago Bulls? Do you think, if you're the Warriors, because obviously you don't want to trade Chris Paul to a team and then they're going to win the title. Obviously, you don't want to do that, right? But if you give the Bulls Chris Paul, do you think they're winning the title? You can answer in the comments, and you can also answer as the Warriors. Let me read a couple of the comments here. Warriors trading with the Clippers. Like I said, I don't know if they would trade the Clippers. A division rival, that's kind of tough. But it's a possibility depending on what they give up. The Clippers have so much talent over there. They got Norman Powell. They have Zubac, who would be a great. They're not going to give up Zubac, but he would be a great backup big to Looney because that's what the Warriors need. Someone like him. So all those things. But I'm saying like the Chicago Bulls, they need a point guard. They're willing to spend to make it work. So maybe you do a deal with them. Maybe you get Alex Caruso, who the Warriors wanted at the trade deadline, I believe. A nice, defensive guard. He plays well. He's a champion. He knows how to play in a championship caliber system. Maybe the Bulls give you Alex Caruso and a couple other players for Chris Paul. What about I don't think they would trade him to Boston because Boston literally needs Chris Paul. Like, that's the perfect fit. But Boston, that would be like a weird deal because Boston wouldn't want to give up what they have to give up to get Chris Paul. And then I feel like it makes both teams better if they do that deal. I feel like maybe that it depends on like who ends up being more impactful. Chris Paul on the Celtics or what the Warriors get back for Chris Paul from the Celtics. You know what I mean? So like that one's kind of tough. We got the Celtics. You have who else needs a point guard? I wouldn't say the Brooklyn Nets need a point guard. I think Spencer Dinwiddie is still under contract, I believe. But like maybe they want to bring in a veteran point guard. Again, money off the books. What about the Brooklyn Nets? They have a lot of assets, like players, like good players. What if you get Dorian Finney-Smith and Royce O'Neal? Those are championship caliber bench players. Because when the Warriors, their first championship run, They had one of the best benches in the NBA. Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, Festus Ezeli was on that team. The first championship, yeah, he was there. He was there. I'm just like double checking. Festus Ezeli, Andrew Bogut obviously was starting. Brandon Rush, he was on the first championship team, right? Brandon Rush. So like they had all these quality players coming off the bench. What if you do a deal? Wait, I actually really like the Brooklyn Nets deal. What if you get Dorian Finney-Smith and Royce O'Neal, and I'm not sure if you need anything else to make the money work. What about that deal? Because I'm sure they're getting plenty of calls for those two players. I actually really like that deal. See, things happen when you think about them. So, like, I'm just saying, like, do I know 100% that they're trading Chris Paul? I do not. Do I think that this makes a lot of sense to hold them till the trade deadline, keep them afloat, and then there are going to be a lot of teams who are going to try to get Chris Paul for whatever reason, to win a championship, to get money off the books, whatever it may be, before the new CBA? I see that happening. So I think the Warriors trading for Chris Paul may be smarter than a lot of people think it was. Like chess, people. Teams like these championship teams play chess. Let me read a couple of these comments. I don't know. It's just in my head. I just really had to share. This is why I told you at the beginning of the video. I was like, I need to share this. I could not sleep last night because I kept thinking about this. This is how you know I'm the biggest basketball fan because I couldn't sleep thinking about these things. The Bulls need to bring Derrick Rose back home. Yes, Derrick Rose is a free agent now because the Knicks declined his team option, which obviously we expected them to do. Bring Derrick Rose to the Warriors. Get him a chip. Bring Derrick Rose. I want Derrick Rose to win a championship. So whatever team gives him the best chance to win a championship, put him on that team. Because we don't want to see Derrick Rose get a ring. But he may stay with the Knicks, so I don't know. Yeah, Lonzo was starting to get comfortable. Lonzo was making it happen with the Bulls. Like, he really made that team so good. Really good. It's really hard. It's like really sad that he's not healthy. It's very sad. I'm shocked Boston traded away Smart, really good culture guy, might be hard to replace. Yeah, I was shocked that they did it. Well, okay, so the first trade that they did made sense to me. I felt like the first trade with the Clippers, I thought the Wizards got the worst end of the deal in that one, if I remember correctly what the deal was. I didn't like what the Wizards got in the first trade, and it was the same thing. They got Porzingis, but they gave up Malcolm Brogdon, who I figured they were going to try to move on from. Like one of those three, and it wasn't going to be Derrick White to me. Derrick White was not getting traded. So it was Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon. And then out of the two, obviously you'd think it would be Malcolm Brogdon. But then, his injury apparently is more serious, so the Clippers didn't want to do the deal. Whatever. I thought the second trade that Boston did was not as good. I thought the Wizards ended up making out with the second trade. The Wizards got Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones is a really good point guard. Like, I was like, oh, the Wizards are so lucky, or not even lucky, but the Wizards should be so happy that the Clippers said no to the first deal because they got a way better deal in the second one. And then for the Celtics, I felt like trading Marcus Smart is very hard. Like, he was there for 9 years. He's one of those leaders on the team, defensive leaders. It's tough to see him go. It's similar to what I said in the video that I did on them. Offensively, Porzingis makes them better. I think that's obvious. But I don't think it solves their issues. Like, to me, it doesn't put them over the edge. I think it makes them offensively better. But now, you obviously don't have your defensive anchor and obviously one of your leaders of the team. And now you have even less point guard options on the team. And they really, really need a point guard. So unless they plan on getting that in free agency, but I also agree that they had to make a move. So, like, I agree that they had to make a move. And the reason that Marcus Smart got traded was because the Clippers vetoed the first deal and they had a deadline at midnight. Otherwise, the Porzingis opting in thing it couldn't happen anymore. So, like, I understand that they had to jump and just be like, okay, we have to trade Marcus Smart because we have like 2 hours or 1 hour left or whatever they, found out that the Clippers were saying no. And so they were like, okay, we have to take this deal because we can't get Porzingis otherwise. So it was tough. It was a tough decision. I was shocked too, especially when they did that to Isaiah Thomas to NBA is just business now. I was shocked as well when the Warriors traded Poole, but sorry, wait. I was shocked as well when Warriors traded Poole. That team was a good fit for him. But now, to me, it seems that he will be getting more playing time and having fun as well. Yeah, I think Jordan Poole will be able to score like crazy next season. He's going to be putting up highlight plays every night, going to have the ball in his hands like crazy. He is a champion now. So, like, he is not chasing a ring, although I'm sure he wants to win more. And obviously, like, he was learning from Steph Curry, one of the best to ever do it. So, like, it's tough. But I think he's gonna have a lot of fun I'm not saying the Wizards. In Washington, he's gonna be able to, put on a show, make an all-star team next year potentially. I think he might make the all-star team because he's gonna light it up. So I think Jordan Poole got I think Jordan Poole is sort of a winner of this deal. Like, unless he really wanted to stay there and he wanted to win another championship with the Warriors, because obviously the Wizards are not competing. So if he really wanted to stay, then like obviously that's unfortunate for him. But like I think at least for short term, Jordan Poole is the winner of this trade because he gets to go like develop himself, grow as a player, similar to what Kyle Kuzma did when he went to Washington. So that's what I think. Poole's going to take the next jump in his career. I'm happy for him. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like just growing himself as a player, as a person, and maybe after this next contract is up, maybe he's going. I don't know. Like maybe he'll go back to the Warriors. I don't know. Like you never know what's going to happen. Facts. He's gonna start shooting from the logo like Steph. Jordan Poole has the range. Like Jordan Poole can shoot. He has the range. So yeah. Thank you guys for listening. I just literally wanted to come on here and just vent. Not even vent. It's not even venting because I don't have any personal, investments into any of this. But like, I just wanted to come on here and talk about things that I was thinking about because I literally was like, I need to discuss this, with my YouTube peoples. So thank you for joining. I appreciate all you guys who joined and for supporting and watching. And hello to everybody who's watching on, the playback. See you guys soon. Bye. I'm going to post the video a little bit, probably like half hour from now. You know me, I'd be posting every night. So I'll probably record a video after this. I just had to come on here and talk because I just needed to talk. Okay. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Nay the Baller. I appreciate you. Hello to everybody who just joined. I am logging off now. Bye.